Today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite series in gaming of all time, and that is Fire Emblem. And I just wanted to give you my personal top 5 games in that series of all time. Let's get to it. Alright, so starting off at number 5, we have Fire Emblem 3 Houses. This was the first game that they came out with on the Nintendo Switch, so I was stoked for this game. I mean, stoked. And I gotta be honest with you, it was tough not giving it a higher ranking. But the story was great. The character development was excellent. The gameplay was it did remind me of a little bit of the OG games, and the just the storytelling that you were very engaged in what was going on. So I highly recommend, if you want to play a Fire Emblem game on console, I would definitely check out Three Houses. All right, so going into number 4, that brings us to Fire Emblem Awakening. This was surprising. Going through some of the games, I remember this game. I believe I still own it. It was on the 3DS, the Nintendo 3DS. Good game. Very engaging story for a handheld. I remember some of the OG games, they weren't, so inclined, some of them. But it was beautiful. It was definitely for the fans. Great soundtrack. It's one of those games, it was really, like I said, for the fans, and I just enjoyed it. It might have had something to do with just, I love the 3DS. I think it was a great handheld system. But I really liked the game. And if you like handheld games, like I started on handhelds and Game Boy Advance games, I would definitely give this a try. All right, so going into number 3, we have Fire Emblem, the Blazing Blade, or originally known as just simply Fire Emblem. This game I absolutely loved. I mean, this was a game I just spent hours on, like in the living room, just playing. I love the little pixel art that Fire Emblem is. The characters in this game, they were so engaging. Like, I love the characters. When I think of Fire Emblem, these are the characters I think of. Characters like Eliwood and Lyn, and my personal favorite, Hector. One thing I think I loved about this game is that it made you learn. Like, you had to really learn the strengths and weaknesses of different weapons in this game. And it was a little hard. I remember being like, 9, 10 years old, however old I was, and I was like, wow, this is hard. The maps were really, some of the maps got pretty cool. So like there was levels with fog and stuff like that. So for a Game Boy game, I definitely think that this was ahead of its time. I really liked it. So if you like Fire Emblem and you want to get into some of the OG stuff, this is where I'd start. All right, so getting all the way up to number 2, we have Fire Emblem: The Sacred Stones. So this was actually the game that I started on. This game is the game that made me fall in love with the series as a whole. I loved it so much that I actually went back and bought Fire Emblem, the one that we just ranked at number 3, because they did so many things with it. So it was engaging. The story was engaging. Characters were awesome. World building was great. They did introduce, so this game was a little bit easier, and then they did introduce like ways that you could grind and level up your characters and all that stuff. So it was a little different. It was the same, but it was a little different. The music in this game was great, very classic music, and it also had great replay value. This was a game that you were able to go back and experience the story. I believe there was 1 or 2 different other paths. I forget. So this was a game that if you really like number 3, if you went back and you played number 3, the first one, then this is a game that you absolutely have to play. All right, so this brings us to number 1. What is the best Fire Emblem game ever made? I'm gonna go and say, this is a safe bet to say that it's not even just my personal favorite. I think anyone in the community would know that this is number 1. And that's Fire Emblem: The Path of Radiance for the Nintendo GameCube. Man, there just hasn't been another game like this. I don't know how to explain it. It was so far ahead of its time that I feel like they're unless they just remaster it, there's no way to actually replicate what they did in this game. Because, at the time, they had Game Boy Advance games like we went over in the past past ones, and it was good. But this game was, it like revolutionized Fire Emblem. You know, they introduced a character like Ike, and you had characters where you could transform into different animals, and the world just felt so much more alive. They had like a 3D effect to it, so it wasn't like a pixel art game anymore. Just everything about it. If this is a game to where if I told you that you had to get into the Fire Emblem series, and you, especially if you like retro games a little bit more, and this is the one I'm selling you on. And you know what? If you don't believe me, there's a reason that this game holds a $300 price tag today. It's on my list. I haven't purchased it just yet, but it's definitely on my list. So Fire Emblem, The Path of Radiance, by far #1. All right, so that wraps up our top 5 Fire Emblem games of all time. Those were my personal favorites, ones that got me into and kept me a fan of the series. I appreciate you guys for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you do check out any of these games, please let me know which one you like best. I'll see you next time, guys. Appreciate you.